What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL video. My name is Mo, and today we're going to be reviewing Game Week 27, how my team did, a preview of Game Week 28, and the team selection that I have made for Game Week 28. So it's a big one. We're also going to be discussing a few more topics in this video, so I'll give you an insight to what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Game Weeks 29 and 31, the Game Week fixtures, the kind of like, the blank Game Weeks, how you can set up your team in terms of how many players are enough for your team, which team players to bring in after Game Week 31. So I've got two teams that I'm going to be going through with you guys. We've got Chelsea and Arsenal. I'm also going to be talking about Bruno Fernandez. Is it time to bring him back into the team if you took him out already? Or is it time for you to take him out of your team if you're not satisfied with his performance and you didn't get rid of him previously? So we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to go through, and I'll be talking about, in addition, how many players are sufficient for Game Week 29. Is it time to play your wild card? Do you have any triple captains left? So we'll be discussing all that in great detail. So stay tuned and we'll go through all that in this video. My name is Mo. This is my channel, FPL Inkling. If you've been here before and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If this is your first time here, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy what you see. Plus, if you're not aware, I am part of a bet with one of my friends that by the end of the season, if I can get 500 subscribers, then I'll win a PS5 in a bet. And I'm already over 120. So thank you everyone for being part of this family. It's only been 3 weeks, but all your support, all your kind words is really inspiring, and it's making me do this week in or week out. So thank you so much. And let's get started. So how did everyone do, guys? I mean, how was your week? How was your players? Did you get the returns you were looking for? Did anything I say in terms of advice or tips come good for you? Let me know. I've got a lot of messages from people about Ward-Prowse, thanking me for giving them the kind of like the insight or the kind of like final, what's the right word to say, the final push or the confidence to bring in Ward-Prowse into the team, because it wasn't an easy decision, but it's come good because you scored 2 penalties in 2 games, so we'll discuss that. How was your team's performance? What did you get overall, guys? Now let me fill you guys in here. This was my second century. I'll say that again. My second century, I got 104 points. My second century in 3 game weeks. I think in total before this, I played this game for around 6 years now. And I think I've got like 3 game weeks where I've got 100 points. But this is my second in 3 weeks. And what makes this one special is there's only 1 double game week. So for me, that's more of an achievement than when I got it 3 weeks ago, where obviously there was many more games that were taking place, so I effectively had 22 players playing, but this one was only the 11 plus 4, so 15 players. So for me, this is a significantly better achievement, and I want to go through what went well for me, what didn't go well, who got me the points and who didn't. So let's start from the back. So Martinez got me 7 points this game week. So let's break him down in terms of what he got. So against Wolves, he got a clean sheet and he got a bonus point for me as well. So it's a good start for me at the back. Reguilon was a letdown for me personally. Crystal Palace, I expected a clean sheet from Spurs. I thought they'd be defensively sound, but they conceded a goal. He was close, almost scored, just went past the post. He also got in some really good positions. I think there was one goal he set up and it was deemed offside as well, so it's a bit unlucky. I could have got an assist or a goal return from him, but 2 points could have been better, but I think he'll get me more points as the game weeks progress further. So I've got a few shocks in for you guys as well for my team week selection. I believe I mentioned it already in some of my previous videos. I'm taking a 16-point hit. Now I took a 12-point hit a couple of weeks ago and it paid dividends for me in terms of I got 100 points. Let's see if the 16 points this time can give me the same return, but I'll go through the decisions I've made, and there's a few shockers in here which I want to go through when I do reveal my team as well, of who's gone out and who's come in. So stay tuned whilst you guys are watching. So Diaz, he had 2 game weeks, and unfortunately in either of them he got a clean sheet. He conceded goals in both games. So he conceded against Manchester United 2 goals, and they conceded 2 goals again. So he only got me 2 points over 2 games, where I was thinking that against United they'll concede, but against Southampton I wasn't expecting them to concede goals tonight. But again, he got 1 point for me, so 2 points at the back. So those 2 players for me, who I was expecting a lot more, could have got me far more points this week than what I've got. Before I move on, so in terms of my ranking, so the game itself hasn't updated, but I've checked my ranking on live FPL ranks. So before I started this game week, I was around 1.362 mil. After these 104 points, I've now gone to 945,000. So I've gone up nearly 430,000 places in ranks, considering I made those transfers a couple of weeks ago where I lost 12 to 16 points and everyone was like, oh my god, what are you doing? You're going against the norm. This is what I'm trying to explain, that being different, being brave, is not just as exciting but even far more rewarding for your long-term aspiration. Now, the reason why my rank isn't that great is because I played a completely different form of fantasy football before I started doing FPL videos. So I was very conservative. I didn't make the transfers. I listened to a lot of experts tell me, hold on to your transfer, play your wild card, delay it. But I felt that it didn't work for me. So the best thing about this game is it works differently for different people. Now, those experts are doing very well in their own right, and that kind of method of management suits them. The form of management that I do is quite aggressive. It's a bit like pep roulette. So I like swapping around. I like thinking this player's got a good, form building up. I feel that he's got a good return coming in. He's coming back from injury. I feel like this is the player to get in. So this is what my inkling is. This is what I want to give to you guys, and that's how, for example, Ward-Prowse, I had that kind of like, I had a gut feeling that this is my inkling that he's going to do well. Get him in. Luke Shaw, about 5 weeks ago, I brought him into my squad. I had a good inkling about him. I got rid of Van Bissaka, even though I brought them in together because I didn't feel that great about him. But Luke Shaw, since then, he's given me a lot of returns, and I'm very, very, very happy that the fact that I followed my gut instinct and I brought him in. So I'm not saying you guys should make 11 transfers every single week because that's not the aim of the game and you'll never be successful. But it doesn't mean you have to do it every week. So last week I only made one transfer, lost no hits, brought in Ward-Prowse because I knew he was going to be the focal or the main point over these 2 game weeks. Now, whether you call it luck for me or just the name of the game, Danny Ings got injured. Danny Ings getting injured made that the 2 penalties that got taken could have been Danny Ings' penalties. So I generally feel sorry for those managers who had Ings in their team because these points easily could have been his. And unfortunately, if you lost him that early in the game, he's only got 1 point and he's out injured for a little while. But for me, I knew that it might not have been penalties where he would have got me the return, but corners, free kicks, he had some really good chances. It just wasn't finished. So for me, Ward-Prowse, a really good inkling. So what I'm trying to say to you guys, if you guys have a feeling about some good players, bring them in. At the end of the day, I'd rather you do the transfer, take a hit, and the player doesn't come off, because if you don't and that player comes off, it's probably the worst. I think it's probably a worse feeling than the player you've taken out and you brought the other one in getting points, because you've had them. There's obviously sorry about that. There's obviously a reason why you've decided to take them out, or you feel the other person or player will be a better fit. So follow your kind of like gut feeling and see how it goes. It's no fluke that I've got 2 century points, 100 points plus in 3 game weeks by this form of management. And I assure you, what I'm going to tell you now is going to blow your mind as well. And it also is going to make you think, why has he done this? Now, it might not come off for me. I might end up with something like 30 points in the game week, which can happen. It's the name of the game. But there's a very strong likelihood that the players I bring in are going to give me a good return. And I'm looking forward to that. And that's the risk that I have taken. So we will go through the team that I will go through in terms of selection-wise and the transfers I have made. And there is a reason why I brought that so early into the game. So the next person is Luke Shaw, owned by 11% of managers. 5.1 is his price. I got 14 points for him. He got me a goal. And he also, I think he got a clean sheet point as well, which was 6 points plus. And he got 3 bonus points. So he got the maximum he potentially could have got me. He's gone up by the price of 0.1 a couple of weeks ago, but I believe his ownership will further determine his price to go up further. So I think he will be around the 5.2 based on his game week fixture. I think people aren't going to bring him in just yet, but after the game week 29, where it's a blank game week with United fixtures, I think there is a likelihood that people are going to bring him in, but people need to be aware they're playing Spurs after that. They've also got Liverpool at home and they've got Leicester. So it's not plain sailing, but Luke Shaw is pretty much nailed on. There is likelihood Telles could come in and out with obviously the further progression stages of the Europa League. United have AC Milan to play over the Europa League quarter-final stages, and if they get further in the kind of like situation of this tournament, then the situation changes for Luke Shaw. Is he going to be number 1 for Europa League and Premier League, or is there going to be like a rotation system with Telles, or maybe some other players might come in to chip in at left back? United, you never know. These big squads have loads of players that they can actually rotate, and kind of make the most of. United at the moment, because of the victory they got against Manchester City, kind of gives them a bit more of a cushion on the top four. So Ollie might be a bit more tempted to rotate a bit more in the Premier League, whereas if he'd lost the game against Man City, then I think he probably would have played his best 11 every single game moving forward. So Luke Shaw owners, be aware, there is a chance or risk of rotation moving forward. And my lovely captain, Kevin De Bruyne, he came off after the first game week of this game week. I knew that it doesn't matter, it's only 2 points, but I knew there was a chance to get Southampton for him to go big. He got 2 goals, no assists, but I was expecting 2 assists and no goals. But I'll take that because he's got 2 extra points for those 2 goals for me. He got 2 bonus points, and then he sits plainly, he got taken off after 70 odd minutes, so he's got a nice rest to come in, hopefully for the next game. I don't see him being benched, so he got me 32 points. A lot of people went for Harry Kane, they got 38 from the 1 game week. Again, great choice. I don't have Harry Kane in my squad, and even if I did, based on this game week, I definitely would have made De Bruyne again captain because of the double game week itself. So I'm really happy with that decision. He will be my captain for game week 20 as well, which we'll discuss through with you guys. Son, such a shame, 4 goals for Spurs in the game against Crystal Palace, and he got 1 assist for me. Although there was a contestment of the offside there. Got no bonus points, but again, good performance by him. He had a few chances to score some goals. I think he was offside for one of them. He had a few assists that may have been if Harry Kane had his shooting boots on, or Gareth Bale himself. So he's still owned by 55% of managers, which is a very high ownership for Son himself. So I definitely still keep him in. I know everyone's going crazy about Bale and Kane. Kane, I understand, he's a regular, he'll play every game, but if I had to choose between Son and Bale, despite the last couple of weeks, I still would choose Son, and there is a reason for that, but I will go through that later, because this time we're just reviewing the team, how I did. We'll talk about that in the preview and team selection for game week 28. Bruno Fernandez, again, Bruno being Bruno, gets the penalty, scores, gets me a good point haul against Man City, 10 points, and he got 2 bonus as well. He did, honestly, if you look at his performance under Bruyne, Bruyne had, I think, 8 open chances he created, and Fernandez, I think, had 3 or 2 in the game, and still Fernandez gets 10 points in that game, and Kevin De Bruyne got 2. So again, you can never actually say that the performance on the pitch reflects the points in the FPL game. This is why Fernandez is so essential. So keep him in your squad, guys, and make sure you don't sub him out, or sub him onto the bench, or transfer him out of your team. So he will be crucial for you guys. Ward-Prowse, what more can I say? 1 week wonder, 2 game wonder, call it whatever you like. Got me 18 points, 7 against City, he got me a goal with a penalty, and 11 against Sheffield, where he got me a penalty, and he got a clean sheet bonus in there as well. Am I going to keep him? You guys are going to see. Apologies for that. But yeah, my gut feeling came through. I got a few messages from the people that had questions around why I chose him through, and maybe I convinced him, and they actually thanked me for bringing him in. And I had a few people message me going, I'm so gutted to have not listened to you to bring him in. Some people brought Danny Ings in, and some people brought in Che Adams. So Che Adams wasn't a bad shout either, but the people who brought in Danny Ings, ouch. But better luck next time. We've still got a few more game weeks coming through, so touch wood, we can bring them in and get the best results for you guys moving forward. Gundogan, again, comes good for me. Didn't do well against United, just 2 points, but he got me a goal today. So it says 12 for the season. He got a bonus point as well. So everyone who captained him breathed a sigh of relief because he managed to get a double-digit score. So he got 20 points for it. So yeah, Gundogan owners, just keep faith with him because he's not going to be dropped, I reckon, for now. But let's see. Jamie Vardy, owned by around 20% of managers. Biggest letdown. His last 3 game weeks, he's given me no returns. 10 mil of my budget is being spent on him. I'm not happy with it. Kind of not his fault. I don't think he's fully fit. Plus, he doesn't have his 2 playmakers of Maddison plus Harvey Barnes. So let's see moving forward if that makes, when they return, if that makes a difference to his form, or whether Youri Tielemans can lift his game and improve him moving forward. And then we had Bamford, who's owned by around 51% of the team players, of the managers in this game. Kind of had a blank game week as well. Only 2 points against West Ham. Had a few chances. I think there was an offside goal as well, but I think he's getting in the right positions. Rafinha had some really good chances. So all those owners who had Rafinha, I think you guys had your hearts in your mouth. But Bamford as well had a few chances, but just didn't convert. So pretty disappointed with my attackers, to be fair, because I had Holly Watkins on the bench and even he got 2 points. So either way, if I'd changed the strikers, it probably wouldn't have made a difference. So if I had dropped any single one of my midfielders, I definitely would have felt the pain, because even if I dropped Son, which I wasn't going to do, or Ward-Prowse, then the swing is 16 points and I wouldn't have got the century all week this week. So that's my team week performance for game week 27. And what we'll do now is I'm just going to have a sip of water and then we'll review game week 28 preview and my team selection. Thank you for that. Now, this is it. Going to reveal it. 6 changes, guys. 16-point hit. So we'll start off one by one. In goal, it's Martinez. So Martinez is going to be playing Newcastle. So this is the early kickoff on Friday. Well, I'm not calling it an early. It's the late kickoff on Friday for the first game of this fixture game week of 28 for Premier League FPL. So Martinez in goal. I'm not changing him in goal. He got me the 7 points against Wolves, and he's going to be my keeper for the season. So we're not going to spend too much time with him. He is going to be in my goal. Now, what's the big news you guys can see here? Luke Shaw has been transferred out. Yes, you've heard me right. I have transferred Luke Shaw out of the team. Now, before you guys all start screaming at your screens and saying, why have you done this? What kind of nonsensical move this is? Just take a moment and listen to what I'm about to tell you guys. So I have brought in Konsa and Cancelo in my defence. So Konsa I brought in with the ambition to utilise his extra game week he has left. So Konsa's actually played really well. I've been watching him in his games previously, even against Wolves. He had a really good game, a few good chances, and I think he's a really good asset to have in the team. Am I going to play him every single week? Maybe not, but I brought him in for this week and I'll put Reguilon on the bench because I think he has the easier fixture compared to Spurs, who have Arsenal, which is the North London derby, and you've got Aston Villa, who've got Newcastle. And I think they've got a likelihood of keeping a clean sheet because there's no Callum Wilson, there's no St. Maximum. Joe Linton, I'm not sure if he's fully fit or not. John Joe Shelvey, is he going to play? Not too sure. But Konsa, so I'm going double on Aston Villa for this game week. So I also believe that there are some fixtures where I'd rather have Konsa than Luke Shaw because of the fixtures of Manchester United having Spurs. I think they've got Liverpool and they've got Leicester still to play. So this is the reason why I've brought in Konsa and I've taken out Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, again, there's a risk of rotation because if United progress in the Europa League, there is a chance that Ollie might rotate him and Telles in the left-back position because they won't play, you can't play like 5 games within like the space of 8 days, so you can't play Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday or Monday again. So that's a lot of games for Luke Shaw, who I don't think he's looked fit anyway. He's played brilliantly, but there are moments in the game where he's kind of like out of breath or he's got a niggle or you can see him not moving as freely. So that's the reason why I brought him in. There could be a likelihood. This is not for the rest of the season. This is what my short-term vision is for the rest of the season. It could be the case that I might just scrap the idea and bring him back next week. This is just for now. I believe that this is a better choice, and plus Aston Villa play in game week 29. And these transfers, what they've done to me is, whereas first I only had, I think, 3 players or 4 players playing in game week 29, I now have 9 players playing in game week 29, which is significant. And at the end, we'll also talk about how many I think are enough for you guys to have in game week 29, even though there's only 4 games that are being played. So Konsa is in for sure. I will get a lot of questions around this, why I chose or why I made this decision, but I've given you guys my rationale, and this is the reason why I've brought in Konsa. And if you look at their fixtures coming up, Reguilon is going to be playing ahead of him, but after Newcastle's got Tottenham, Fulham, I'll bring him in for that game. Probably not going to play him for Liverpool or Man City unless there's an injury to any of my defenders. But then there's West Brom, Everton, Manchester United, Crystal Palace, and then there's 3 games at the end, Tottenham, Chelsea and Everton. Now, I'm not probably going to play him every game, but wherever there's need to be, at least I've got a defender on my bench that plays week in, week out. So the risk of rotation with Cancelo, Diaz or Reguilon, I won't feel it as much as I would have if I had a player who wasn't going to be played, or as the other players I have in my team have a risk of rotation. So Diaz remains in my squad. Cancelo has been brought in. Now, he's not played against Southampton, so I'm very hopeful he will play against Fulham on this weekend, so he is in my defence. Now I'm going to reveal to you guys my midfield. A few surprises in here. So we start with Son. Son's playing in the North London derby. I'm not taking him out. I'm not joining the Bale bandwagon. Yes, it's tempting, but again, they're playing the Europa League and they've also got the FA Cup. They've got the League Cup. There's a lot of tournaments that are still kind of like up for grabs for Tottenham. Tottenham haven't won a trophy for, I believe, 13 years now. The aim for Daniel Levy, Mourinho, and Harry Kane, for example, who's been at that club for all his career, they want to win a trophy. Now, are they going to prioritise those trophies over finishing in the top four? I'm not too sure. But the one name that is consistently, or two names I should say, that are consistently in the outfield on the team sheet is Son and Kane. They will play regardless, and he hasn't done too bad, to be fair. I mean, everyone's jumping on the Gareth Bale bandwagon because he's got returns in the last 3 to 4 game weeks, and rightfully so, but we can't undermine what Son has done for the whole season. 178 points for Son for the price of 9.6 million. It's phenomenal, and he's got a star. I just wanted to show you, he's got a star on his icon, so it means that he's in the kind of like overall highest ranked players in this game this year. So even though people say he's blanked in the last 2 game weeks, he's still got an assist against Crystal Palace in his last game, and he's got returns in the game against Burnley. He's got 2 assists as well. So he's got 13 goals and 9 assists, and I honestly believe he's got such a good chance of scoring in the next couple of game weeks. Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle. There's no reason why he cannot get assists or goals in these game weeks that are coming. So for me, Son, he's going to stay in my team, and I can pretty much assure you, unless he gets injured, he will stay in my team to the end of the season. I don't think I'll be bringing Bale in for Son, but I might bring him in for other players, unless he goes out and scores another 2-3 hat-tricks. But at the moment, Son it is who's going to remain in my squad. My captain for the last game week is going to be my captain for this game week as well. Now, Bruno is going to be starting to become more frequently of a captain of mine as weeks go along, but at the moment, the way Kevin De Bruyne is going, I think it's still a differential because he's only owned by 17% of managers in regards to like 60% of managers that own Bruno. So I'd still have him in. He's got Fulham this week, so I think he can get me a good return. So there's a no-brainer for me. Kevin De Bruyne is going to be my captain for this game week. Next player I've got is Bruno Fernandez, owned by 57% of managers, 16 goals, 12 assists, 206 points, an absolute machine. There's no way I'm taking him out. There's no way I was going to take him out, and he's going to remain in my team again to the end of the season. So all those managers who are looking to bring him back in, get him back into the team, guys. It doesn't matter who he plays. Get him on the captain's armband if you want to, but for me it's Kevin De Bruyne, but there is no reason why Fernandez should not be in your team. Now, the next person who I've brought into my squad this week is Aubameyang. Now, everyone will be thinking, why Aubameyang? He's just scored 1 hat-trick against Leeds and he's not been that great since. Yeah, he scored a goal, it's just Burnley. But there's more to it than this. I think the fixtures that Arsenal have coming up are really, really mouth-watering. And I'll tell you guys, I've been watching Aubameyang play in the last couple of game weeks. I've seen him play against the Europa League ties that he's played. He's gotten some really good positions. And I think he's hungry now to prove a point. They want a strong finish to the end of the season. Now, look at these game week fixtures. So they've got Tottenham, West Ham, Liverpool. Now, after that, they've got Sheffield, Fulham, Everton, Newcastle, West Brom, Crystal Palace, and Brighton. They've got Chelsea in between as well. I think they're all fixtures in there that Arsenal can win and perform well. There's an incentive to get into the Europa League positions again, because Arsenal aren't out of the contention. A lot of teams have slipped up, which has kind of opened the floodgates to them. So even Liverpool are I think, 3 to 4 points ahead of them at this kind of stage, where we were talking about relegation for Arsenal. In joke term, guys, don't take it seriously. In November, they've actually come back and caught up Liverpool, who were running away with the league title at that point. So I think with what I've seen, as a differential, I had this gut feeling, and I had the same gut feeling with Ward-Prowse. So let's see how this works. He might not even score against Tottenham, but he's on penalties. He's the captain of the club. He's only owned by 8% I know he's worth 11.4 mil, but you guys got to remember, even though this hasn't been the greatest season for him, he's still got 104 points, which is quite remarkable for a player of his caliber. I know he got 205 points. Let's have a look in the last two seasons for FPL, but 9 goals and assists. I still think there's a lot more to come from Aubameyang, and I think there's a lot to prove for him to the club and the supporters himself that he's got the hunger and the passion to be the captain for the club. So Aubameyang is in. I've taken out Gundogan. Gundogan's gone. Ward-Prowse and Gundogan, they've gone out of my squad, and I've brought in Aubameyang. So Aubameyang is part of my 4 midfielders. So I've changed my formation now from 3-5-2. I've gone to 3-4-3. So my midfield is Son, De Bruyne, Fernandez, Aubameyang. Now moving to my forward line, Vardy, gone. I'm sorry, Jamie Vardy. You might go along and score 10 goals in the next, let's say, 10 games left of the season. I'm not too concerned. I'm not going to think too much about it. When I had you in my squad, the thing about Vardy is when I bring him in, he doesn't perform. And when I take him out, he scores hat-tricks against Man City, like the start of the season. And yes, so I've got rid of him. So let's expect a hat-trick against Sheffield United this weekend. But I'm not going to think about that at all. What I've done is I've brought in Antonio. So I've gone for a 3 strikers ahead. So the funds I took out from Aubameyang, I've added it to Gundogan to get me that took out Vardy to bring in Aubameyang. I've got the funds from Gundogan. So overall I've got Aubameyang, and then Antonio has been brought in as a 3rd striker. I think I'm happy with my front 3. I think it gives me a good balance. I've got Ollie Watkins, Bamford, Antonio. They all play week in, week out. So there's no risk of rotation in terms of strikers itself. Could be rested, but I don't think they're playing many competitions. So it looks good from my end. Those are my 3 forwards for game week 28. And then my bench, Martin for West Ham, he never plays. You got Reguilon, Harrison Reed from Fulham. He's done really well in the last couple of weeks. Unlucky not to score in his last game, but I think he's a really good person to have on the bench, that if one of my players don't play, you got Reguilon and Reed to come in and fill in the positions for them. So that is my squad, guys, for game week 28. Let me know what you think. Leave me some comments. What are your thoughts? Have I made the right choices? Have I made the wrong choices? Are you guys still mystified of why I dropped Luke Shaw? I've given you guys my reasons. I might regret it, I might go back, but this is my team moving forward for now. And from these players, I've got 9 players from here. Even if I bring in the 2 players, Reguilon and Reed, who both play in game week 29, I now have 9 players paying for me in game week 29, which gives me a huge advantage. And my answer to the question of how many players are enough for game week 29, which is a classified blank game week, I think anywhere between 7 to 11 players is more than enough. 9 for me is perfect. Obviously 11 would have been the best scenario, but I just couldn't fit it in this occasion, and I didn't think taking 2 more transfers in this week was worth it. But however, if game week 28 there are more performers who I believe, yes, I want them in. For example, you got Saka from Arsenal, Smith Rowe, Pepe, these kind of players, Willian, who knows, I might bring them in. But this is my squad for 28, and this is what I'm going to be playing. So let me know what you guys think. And that's my team selection for game week 28, guys. I've got a few questions about who's going to be better to play in terms of Arsenal or Chelsea players. Now, a lot of kind of like experts on Fantasy Premier League have said Chelsea's the way to go because of their fixtures. Looking at game week, I think 31 onwards. Let's just find Chelsea and let's just pick a player. So let's just take Mendy, for example. Game week 31, they got Brighton, followed by West Ham, Fulham, Man City, Arsenal, Leicester, and Arsenal. So these are the teams that they have to play now. They look okay, but let me show you Arsenal's fixtures. I think these are far more, after the Liverpool game, they're far more manageable. So Sheffield United, Fulham, Everton, Newcastle, West Brom, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Brighton. So it depends on what you see more risk for. The only thing I like about Arsenal is they're not as rotating, or they don't do as much of roulette or rotation of squad in Arteta as much as Tuchel for Chelsea. Now, there's a few players which I definitely say, if you review the Chelsea line, I definitely would say you guys should consider. So there's got Mason Mount. I think he's a great player. I was this close to bringing him in. Since Tuchel has come in, he's had 7 out of 9 starts, so that's quite good. You got Rudiger. I think he's about 4.6 mil. Let's have a look. He's had 8 out of 9 starts. Rudiger, there he is, 4.6 mil, yeah. He's had 8 out of 9 starts, and the club captain, Azpilicueta, he's had 9 out of 9 starts since he's been in charge for Chelsea since Lampard left. He's only 5.7 mil. And you can see there's all these 90s that come along, so he's had all the starts under him, even in the Champions League. So I would definitely consider maybe Azpilicueta if you're looking to bring him in. But for me, if I had to choose out the two teams, I will certainly go down the Arsenal route for 2 reasons. I think they have better fixtures. I think they have more of an incentive to do well at the end of the season. Yes, they haven't had the best of seasons, but I don't think the kind of like penalty decisions or refereeing decisions have been very fruitful or beneficial for them. So, for example, Mane, when he kind of like absolutely smashed Pepe in the face in the early part of the season, wasn't given at Anfield, and that could have been a red card, and the game could have been a lot different, which Liverpool went on to win this weekend. The penalty, I mean, I don't even know what a penalty is now. I'm not an Arsenal fan, guys, but I'm just stating the facts that from what I've seen from Arsenal and Chelsea, the risk of rotation is far too great. So I would go for Arsenal players in that situation. There was a question about should I bring Bruno? There was a question asked me about should Bruno Fernandez be brought back into people's teams? Why did you take him out in the first place? Definitely get him back in, guys. But if you've taken him out, hold on. It's only West Ham this week, and then they got a blank. So if you've got a player that's playing in the blank game week, play them. Game week 30, get them back in, get Bruno into your squad, and captain him if you think he's the best captain option. So that was the answer to that question. And wildcard, don't play it in game week 29. I'd say leave that for game week 31 because there's going to be more potential better fixtures, and I think you'll have more of an idea of which players are in form and which players are not in form. So don't play it just yet. Play it in game week 31 or after, because I believe there might be another double game week in game week 36 or 37 at the end of the season. But that hasn't been confirmed to us, guys. So please watch out for any information. I will let you guys know if I hear anything, but we are still to get that confirmed. But again, like in terms of Fernandez itself, I had a question. Someone said to me, should I bring in Salah for Fernandez? It could have gone the other way. So if Liverpool had a penalty, Salah would have got a return. It could have been a different week. Bruno had not got a penalty. He wouldn't have got 10 points. He would have got 3 points at the end. So again, United get a lot of penalties because they play in the box, and so do Liverpool, but they've just not been that lucky in terms of their finishes. Now, Salah has scored in the Champions League game midweek. It's a bit of form coming. Mane's a bit of form coming. So if you have had Salah for a long time, guys, I don't think it's the right time to get rid of him. Trust him. I reckon he's going to get some really big hauls over the next couple of weeks. He has a point to prove. He wants to finish the season off strongly. He wants to get Liverpool into the top 4 in the Champions League, because if he is going to be at Liverpool next season, he would always want to play in the Champions League. So don't take last game week as like, oh my God, Salah, Fulham didn't do anything. It can happen. Bruno Fernandes didn't play well against Sheffield United, West Brom, and they lost. United lost these games and drew these games. So there's more to it always than obviously there's an easier fixture. They haven't done well. Harry Kane. A lot of people triple capped him in the double game week 2 weeks ago. He only got 24 points. That's 8 points. And if you look at Bruno Fernandes, he got 6 points, 2 clean sheets, didn't get any returns, and he got 12 points. So there's only a 6-point gap, and even though Kane scored. So how much beneficial was the triple captaincy on Kane? So you shouldn't see it that way, because Kane this week got 19 points. And if they triple captain this week, even though it was a 1 game week compared to that double, 19 times 3, I think that's 19, 38, 57 points. There you go. So again, it's all about what your inkling is, what you think is right. So if you guys have Salah, keep him in if you have him. If you don't have him and you want to bring in Bruno and use those funds or extra funds that you have from the transfer on increasing the depth and strength of your squad. So for me, guys, that is the preview and team selection for game week 28 for my team. Let me know how you guys found it. Join the league code's on the bottom left. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button, help me get to 500 subscribers, like the video if you liked what you've seen, and hit the notification icons as well. I will be bringing out a deadline stream as well before the end of this game week for us. So look out for that as well. Best luck to everyone. Let me know if you have any questions. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, guys, and best of luck for game week 28.